not know everything. Learning about geology. Do we know everything about geology? No. That's getting with the hydrologist and the CH2 on the Hill engineer that we've met with a couple of times, but they're learning. Trying to figure out, okay, when wells that are near there, that are down 150 feet, is that the same thing as the Big Springs aquifer that their well's down 800 feet? And do those things relate to each other? The answer is initially looks like, read the study, got lots of questions myself, haven't had time to talk, not haven't had time, but just haven't had an opportunity yet to meet this person. Doesn't look like it.
Let's carbon date the well water then and see, because
there's another way to do this, and so. But let me finish with the frame of reference, and the first thing I would like y'all to remember is 30 acres of alfalfa. What is the amount of water that it takes to water every day 30 acres of alfalfa? That's how much water they are planning to take out in their first line.
And what is that number?
What is that?
Let me go to the pieces, because there's about 17 different elements of that number.
Okay.
Frame of reference. It's about 30 acres of alfalfa. Frame of reference goes back to the mayor and all the city council and the city manager who've been trying to figure this out. Mike Burns has been working hard on the wastewater side of this with me, trying to figure out where all these numbers come from. And you have to realize one thing is, we, and Rose, I need you to hear this, which is we understand that the value of this community lies in its natural resources, and at the core of those natural resources is our water. We understand that. You all have tasked us with figuring out, hey, is this a relationship with an industrial customer that we can have that protects the long-term, decades-long-term viability of our water resources? Nobody in this room wants to wake up one day, 15, 20 years from now, and go, oh my God, they collapse the aquifer, they ruin the water supply, they whatever. Nobody wants to do that.
Automania.
And nobody is sitting in a back room making backroom deals.
Yeah, I worked for Coca-Cola for 10 years, and I understand a lot about how it all goes down. Now, I didn't understand lots about this arena here. And frame of reference, 30 acres of alfalfa. How many millions of acres are right down there and right up here? You talk about water, you have to have a frame of reference of how much water is actually being used. How much are they actually requesting, roughly, because they are still making decisions about what pieces of line gear, the actual lines, the bottling lines that they'll use, that will affect widely changing numbers, like the infamous, they're going to put 750,000 gallons of effluent into our system. Where in that? And the answer is not even close. Why? How did they get that number? What has changed dramatically since then? And so let me go back to the pieces of it. 750,000 gallons is 3 lines, 3 bottling lines. They're going to start with 1. 5 years from now, 2. They don't look like they'll ever get to 3 relative to shipping concerns, but let's just say it happens anyway. And the lines were going to have about 186,000 gallons of effluent with the level of technology of the lines that they were looking to buy and put in this particular plant. And they rounded up from 186 to 250, said, we're going to put out, at max, 750,000 gallons. That's a lot of effluent. That's about the size of about what our entire town puts out in dry weather. When it gets wet weather, Rod,
way higher.
Way higher.
What are you talking about time frame wise? Like a day, a week, a year?
A year.
A day.
A day?
Yeah, we put that a day.
And what do you mean in dry weather versus
like just what's flowing through our system.
Yeah.
What's flowing through our system
Stormwater.
versus when it rains heavily. We have a heavy rain event,
Right.
and that commingles and ends up at the plant. We
Okay.
have much higher flows.
Broken up old system.
No, I know that, but
Zircon.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Sure.
Is that fair?
Effluent means everything that runs from your sink, your toilet, and everything.
Gray water, and when you flush your toilet, it all comes down. That's referred to as
And
effluent.
we have a certain amount of, we have separated storm drains.
The majority of storm
Yeah.
drains.
But with an old system in a small community, there's a lot of broken, cracked lines that we need to over time repair. So that's that intrusion issue in wet period. When
Oh, okay.
snow's melting, it doubles or triples what's going down that.
But we have, anybody here from outside the county have a well? I mean, outside the city has a well?
Yeah.
Do you get charged for how much water you take out of your well?
No. But I'm very careful because I'm concerned about the drought. So-
Right, but you know, the answer is,
Good
there's no,
steward.
you can
Yes.
pump whatever you want. You're a
At this
private
point.
landowner.
Thank God, yeah.
This is America. You're allowed to be a private landowner and have a well. It's not China. We can't come in and tell you no.
Actually, they're trying to regulate that too. but
Well, and
that's another story.
If you were in a municipality, we would be restricted. The way it works across the United States, for the most part, is in counties, you can sink a well because there isn't
A day. No, it's not. It's going to be more like 150,000 gallons a day every 5 to 9 days. Once every 5 to 9 days.
What about extractions?
Why do you say once every 5 days?
Where is the water coming from? The reason it's only every 5 to 9 days, because a lot of people have wastewater concerns, so I'll get to the extraction side.
If you don't mind, can I answer even
Yeah.
more specifically? And I think it was reported in the newspaper again. The day it was being reported in the newspaper, we were getting confirmation from Crystal Geysers. Again, they're designing a process. This city's been working from the framework of 750,000 gallons because that was their best.
Early estimate.
Yeah, their best estimate at the time. And it's been going up and down. To our frustration, we want to know because we're responsible for this business enterprise called the Shasta Water Enterprise Fund. So we need to know. So we're pressing them to tell us. And so last week they told us 100,000. It's 50 for one line and 50 for another line, and they plan on doing 2 lines. We're building for 100,000. We've told them, look, that's public information. Once you start telling us what our public enterprise is starting to design for, folks are going to start seeing, costs and systems that can work around that, whether it's the interceptor line or whether it's the changes to the treatment plant. So 150 would be a max that they'd have to come back for later if they add a third line. We're hearing from them that they're doing 2 lines, and one now and one later. And so we're designing, we've put PACE, as a lot of you know, got that award. So PACE Engineering, they're saying, yes, we finally have a number, now we can do our work, because they feel under pressure, PACE and North State Resources, to get all their stuff done. So, good news, some relief to us, both in terms of it being a smaller number, but most importantly, getting the number, because we were pulling our hair out, getting frustrated that we weren't getting the number. But,
And to answer Rose's question, yes, that 100,000 coming to us will be heavily regulated because the last thing I want is to get something from this plant that's going to cause a violation in our permit and cause the taxpayers more money. So we're going to want to know exactly what constituents is in the water that they're giving us and what are acceptable levels. The engineers are going to determine those acceptable levels, and we're going to hold them to those.
and we'll have
We
agreements.
have to.
And the way it works, and you don't typically, and I think our engineers will tell us this, but my experience elsewhere is that they don't typically have a meter on sewer because that's sewer, not like water, that's a steady stream of consistent flow, So they sample. So you hire you use in-house sampling or out, and you're looking at how much is coming through, like 2 or 3 times a week, or some specific time, and you measure, and you sometimes send it to labs. Okay, what's in that? And again, then you find them. And I can tell you about employers mad across the country who don't like their local jurisdiction finding them, but that's the way it is. And then corporate headquarters getting mad at that local plant because they're not staying within parameters.
Cost of
But
business.
I absolutely assure you that that's a priority for us.
And I actually anticipate.
And that's just on the district. That's what we're responsible for. You sound like a repeating the record here, but that's what we're responsible for in this mix of stuff. Is the sewer side. We don't have a lot of control here, but that's what we've got control of.
But you still can ask for, you guys hold the cards. You can't say, well, corporations don't typically do that. They don't typically monitor it going out. You know what? We want monitoring coming in. We want it on the extraction side. We want to know, and we want to independently monitor, and we want to know what the effluent is coming out.
But you're going to get all that. The effluent you got. We're saying absolutely 100%. And we're not saying, I'm just giving you an example of what corporation, just to put it in reality, I want to clarify, it's evidence, it's anecdotal information that corporations typically push back, and we're happy to push on them because it's about the good of our system and our ability to meet everyone's needs. That's on the discharge, on the sewer side.
Right, and your focus is on the sewer side, and rightly so, because that's what you're agreeing to take on. But you still hold the cards that says, look at, this is still our city. That water, we don't know how it works. We have no freaking idea. There's lava tubes running every which way, okay? So even though H2M, whoever they are, says, thanks. I've seen their trucks. I didn't know who they were. Even though they say one thing, they're also, they're paid by corporations to do their studies. We have not been able to get those studies, but regardless.
Today, I promise.
The full thing, not just what they want us to know, but the full picture. Like if we knew that, we might all calm down quite a bit. But the
Which
thing
is why
is,
I'm calm.
good. Well, you guys hold the cards though to say, look at, there's nothing wrong with monitoring it going out, monitoring the extraction, and if you monitor it, you don't have to go back and say, oh, shame on you, corporation, you overshot your effluent amount, and now we're screwed, and now Rod can't do his job because the ponds don't work. That's kind of going back and taking care of the problem later. We want to make sure it doesn't happen, and we want it to be independently monitored.
And metered.
Right. And metered, yeah.
Metered.
This came from our library, and I just picked it up yesterday. And it's called Bottlemania, and it's hopefully it won't be we won't be in this book, in a later edition. But there are lots of stories where the bottle companies came in on the East Coast, offered wonderful, and everybody got all excited because, we're all desperate for money and jobs. They ruined the aquifers, and the towns had to close. I just encourage you to read it because it's facts.